Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum and its valuation against the US dollar and Bitcoin. So if you guys like the content, please give the video a thumbs up, and also please subscribe to the channel. Additionally, if you like this kind of content, you can check out the public Telegram channel that we have here, and we do try to have a lot of really good discussions in that group. And then finally, you can check out the premium list if you want access to exclusive content. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the valuation of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. But before we get into that, before we get into the primary topic of the video, I do want to talk about the fact that there's a lot of people saying that Ethereum is kind of getting left behind, and that it's time to pave the way for new technology, new coins, whatever it may be. And I think this is complete and utter nonsense, to be completely honest. It's just that Bitcoin is above the 20-week. People are becoming highly speculative, and a lot of these gains on some of these coins, not all of them, but a lot of them that you see pumping up insane amounts, a lot of those will be completely erased, and the people that are really shilling those coins the most are the people that are currently buying it at the top, and they're going to be probably regretting it a few weeks or months from now. So the goal of this channel, right, is to stay focused on longer term investing. I mean, this is not financial advice, but not to go chasing those pumps that happen every other day in crypto. It's to focus on these longer term investments, to stay level headed on what the markets are doing, and not to go chasing the altcoin flavor of the month. That's why you won't see me making videos saying the top 20 altcoins to go up 100x in a certain amount of time. It's just it's completely ridiculous. It appeals to parts of the brain that you really have to be careful about how you proceed when thinking that way. If you're just chasing what some YouTuber is saying, it really can affect you negatively over a few months if your entire due diligence on a project is what some YouTuber happened to shill that day. So remember, let's stay level-headed. We're going to talk about Ethereum, and let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that I did carry out a couple polls. One of them was on Twitter. It says, are you accumulating Ethereum? And around 47% of the people said yes. 26.7 says no, and they don't own any. And then 26% say they're not accumulating it, but they already have a stack. So presumably they already have a stack that they're happy with, and now they're speculating on other coins. Now, I often find that on Twitter, the polling is skewed significantly, but primarily when I put out polls about various coins, because then you just get those armies inviting their friends to just vote on a coin. But with this kind of a poll, it actually tends to be more or less representative of what the average person is doing. And you can see that on my YouTube channel, we also had the same question: Are you accumulating Ethereum? And we had around 600 more votes here as at the time that I'm making this video, and around 43% of people said yes, they're accumulating it. 33% said no, they're not accumulating it, and they do not own any. And then 24% said they're accumulating it, or they're not accumulating it, but they already have a stack. So what's surprising to me is, between say 26 to 33% of people don't own Ethereum, and they're not really planning on accumulating it. So this I thought was fairly interesting, given the fact that Ethereum is it's number 2 in crypto, and I feel like we're kind of at that stage in the market cycle where everyone starts speculating on all these altcoins, and you kind of see, and I don't consider Ethereum an altcoin, and you kind of see Ethereum starting to get lumped in with say Bitcoin. Now during the last market cycle, Ethereum was new, and it was moving like crazy with respect to Bitcoin. This market cycle, it takes a lot more volume to move Ethereum. I mean, the title of the video, right, is it takes giants to move mountains. If you're looking for Ethereum to pop up to say $500 tomorrow, it's just likely not going to happen. Some random altcoin on some random exchange, could potentially go up a few, 2 or 3x within a week or two. But it's very risky to go into that. And if you do go into it, remember that any type of gains that you see, it's completely meaningless until you actually take a profit on it. So I would encourage you that if you are seeing these gains that you're just completely seeing that type of stuff is completely new to you, I can assure you that it won't last forever. And at some point, the money, in my opinion, obviously it's my opinion, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, the money will heavily flow back into Bitcoin and into, Ethereum and those coins that are in the top 10. That it's just what I just think that's what's going to happen. And at that time, then people, those altcoins that have been pumping so much, they're likely going to be bleeding, and people are going to be wanting to ride the real movers of the market, and those being, say, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So let's continue on. I mean, I've shown this graph before. It just shows the Ethereum-Bitcoin valuation, and it kind of shows kind of like our cool down phase is kind of the first one, just because this one was when it launched. And then we have our accumulation phase, and then our short-term speculative bubble, our first peak, our second peak, and then the cool down, and then the accumulation again down here. So I've talked about this before, being kind of like the last gas before the final capitulation, and then your accumulation. First peak, second peak, last gas, capitulation, accumulation, first peak, second peak, kind of the last gas where we move, and then our final capitulation. And this is all against Bitcoin, and then now we're back in the accumulation phase. Hopefully. I mean, obviously, if Bitcoin were to kind of just kick the bucket tomorrow and drop back down to, say, 6K or something, back to the 200-week moving average, then all of this would likely just be getting kicked down the road in terms of building out, say, a new base. But we'll see what happens. I don't claim to know what the markets will do in the short term. I've often said it's more like geometric Brownian motion. It's going to take a random walk. It's going to do what it's going to do, and all we can do is kind of respond to what happens in the market. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if Ethereum goes up 100x. If you never take profits, it doesn't matter. So the point is to just try to identify these accumulation phases, and to be ready when a move does come. And I do think a move will come, but it's just going to take, it's more of a slower process for us to get up there. And you can see that, I mean, we are, the general trend with respect to Bitcoin is trending up for the most part over the last 6 months. You can see we had this peak here, and then it came back down, and then we're starting to go back up. But for the most part, you can see that we are trending upwards, and it's just a matter of Bitcoin staying healthy for us to continue this trend. Now, we've also talked about how you can kind of compare, say, your cool down phase of one cycle here, of one subcycle, to the accumulation phase of the next. In the same way here, you can compare this cool down phase to the accumulation phase of the next. Okay, and then in the same manner, you can consider like the top here to be our cool down phase of the next. Okay, so if we were to continue this type of trend, then then that means that potentially this level here, so the Bitcoin valuation, so this would be 2, so basically 3 times 10 to the minus 2 to 4 times 10 to the minus 2, those Bitcoin valuations could be our next kind of our cool down phase. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if Ethereum takes off with respect to Bitcoin at some point, before Bitcoin gets to its previous all-time high, then maybe it comes up here and it has like a kind of like a first peak and a second peak, like it did over here, which was a sub-cycle of the whole Bitcoin market cycle, which lasted from here to to over here. If you see something like that happen, then maybe Ethereum will come up into this region and have one of those first peak, second peak, and then this could be say our next accumulation phase before another speculative move later on in the market cycle once Bitcoin gets to its previous all-time high. And you can kind of see this general uptrend here, the general downtrend here, and I drew this uptrend several months ago, and you can see we're still in it here. So I'm hoping that Bitcoin stays above the 20-week moving average and it continues to maintain this, and then at some point I think we'll go into a speculative bubble and come out of it, come up, have a couple of peaks, maybe like a peak and then a dead cat bounce back into, say, a new accumulation region, kind of our new shift in what is, say, the fair value of Ethereum, before ultimately gearing up for the second half of the market cycle, which will take place over a couple years. So this is the general idea in terms of a macroscopic view of Ethereum. If you want to look at one of the other things we've looked at on the channel, the Ethereum price color-coded by whether Bitcoin is above the 20-week moving average or below the 20-week moving average, you generally do see that Ethereum does tend to perform very well when Bitcoin is above it. And even now it is slowly trending up since Bitcoin has gotten above the 20-week moving average. If you look at the Ethereum-Bitcoin ratio, when Bitcoin is above the 20-week and below it, you can also see that it tends to perform fairly well. It's pretty predictable when Bitcoin's below the 20-week. The valuation of Ethereum with respect to Bitcoin has always historically gone down. If you were looking at, say, the weekly close to the weekly close, the valuation has always decreased during that period of time. But the interesting thing, right, is if you look over here, there was one period of time where the Ethereum-Bitcoin ratio decreased when Bitcoin was above the 20-week moving average. And that was in 2019, which was, this is when Bitcoin was going from like 4K to 14K, and Ethereum just wasn't keeping up. And this is one of those things where I say, when Bitcoin makes a run at 20K one day, the Ethereum-Bitcoin valuation will bleed. Now the question is, will Ethereum make a move before that happens? Because it could be bleeding from a much higher ratio if you see it come up and peak a couple times, and then the Ethereum-Bitcoin ratio bleeds back into our new accumulation range. Okay, so this is the idea. Now, if we then color code it by whether Bitcoin is above the 20-week and the 50-week on the Ethereum price, you can kind of see a similar trend. It tends to do really well when it's above both of those moving averages. And with respect to Bitcoin, it also tends to do very well when Bitcoin is above those moving averages. The only time where the valuation decreased with respect to Bitcoin, again, was in 2019. Here are the logarithmic regression bands for Ethereum that I made quite a long time ago. And kind of similar to Bitcoin, noticing that it tends to drop down a regression line kind of each sub-market cycle. I mean, this cycle here was all part of the same cycle, but if you consider it, say, a sub-cycle within Ethereum, you can kind of see it going from, say, this regression line, the yellow one, to then the next one, which is the orange one, which was the same one over here, and then dropping down to the green one, which was our final capitulation area, hopefully. I mean, obviously there are no guarantees. Potentially with everything going on in the world, it's possible that if traditional markets take a big hit, then obviously cryptocurrency could take another big hit. But for the most part, I'm hoping that we'll continue to stay in this region. And then slowly work our way back up. You can see that the valuation of Ethereum with respect to Bitcoin has been mostly moving sideways for quite a while now. If you just look at, say, 2019 to 18 months later in 2020, while it has gone up and it has come back down, we've mostly been moving sideways because this, again, is mostly just noise. We consider that between 2019 to, say, through 2021 is our general accumulation range, and that anything that happens, in the meantime is largely just noise. So then that means your goal, right, not financial advice, but that means your goal is to then accumulate Ethereum for the cheapest price that you can get it, because ultimately speaking, it'd be much better if you're accumulating it down here than heavily accumulating it up here. Unfortunately, a lot of people tend to FOMO into the market once it's already started to make this move. But remember, it's not usually wise to chase pumps. It's usually wise to get your positions and then be ready when those moves come to you. Now, where does this put us? Because we've talked about Ethereum it's taking its time right now. I made a video recently talking about it's the accumulation phase of a lifetime. Where does it put us now? Well, if you look at the average 90-day ROI of Ethereum, historically speaking, and again, the error bars on this would be through the roof, but historically speaking, purchasing Ethereum in June, July, August, and September has not yielded the most impressive 90-day ROI. Meaning, the average, if you had always been purchasing Ethereum during these months, the average would have actually, you would have actually been losing value, because it's less than 1. So 1 basically means that you're breaking even. So you can see that in June, July, and August, your 90-day ROI, you weren't even breaking even. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that this time that'll be the case, but it just means to manage your expectations. Don't necessarily think that Ethereum has to balloon tomorrow. It could take a while. And one of the things we also note that is Ethereum tends to do really well, the first quarter of the year, and that purchasing Ethereum in, say, November and especially December has historically been the best time to buy in terms of your 90-day ROI. So the thinking is, if Ethereum is going to kind of bide its time for a bit longer, note that you must be prepared that it could go up tomorrow. But if it is going to bide its time for a bit longer, maybe it's gearing up for another move in, say, the first quarter of 2021, and the continuing to accumulate for the next several months will just likely be the name of the game, and we might just be continued in an accumulation region, and it could correspond to Bitcoin even maintaining itself above the 20-week moving average. It might just take until Bitcoin confirms that the 20-week moving average will act as support, that Ethereum will take off, because that is what it took in the last market cycle. Now again, you have to remember that it could happen at any time, and if Ethereum goes to $300 next month, just be ready for it. But also be prepared that it might take a few months before you see that really kick in. We're gonna shift gears here. We're gonna pull up TradingView. Before I do, I want to remind you that if you guys really like the content, I do have a premium list. You can buy access to it at my website, intothe-cryptoverse.com. You can read some of the reviews on it there. If you want, you'll get 4 different things by signing up. You'll get access to a weekly premium report, a newsletter which is backed by quantitative science, quantitative finance, data science. You'll have these things that I feel like are actually useful to you. In addition to getting that, you get a premium video to accompany that. And then you also get access to a Google Sheets dashboard, which has the live risk levels for a lot of different coins, including Ethereum, as well as Bitcoin, Cardano, Chainlink, and a few others. So do check it out. And then finally, one of the newest perks we've added to the premium list is a private Telegram alerts channel where I just post my candid thoughts. Usually every single day, I'll post a few things. Not every day, but most days. And then just kind of tell you guys what I'm doing and what I see the market's doing. So please check it out. If you want, you can pay with cryptocurrency and pay for 6 or 12 months and get a discount, or you can just pay monthly with fiat. And if you have questions about this, I would encourage you to join the public Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. And you can ask people there what they think of it. We do have around 400 people on the premium list. So if you have any questions, just go there, ask the people. You can figure out if it's the right thing for you, or if maybe it's not the right thing for you. But I would encourage you to check it out. I do think it does provide a lot of useful information. And additionally, we cover things other than cryptocurrency as well. So if you're exposed to other markets like traditional markets or precious metals, we also talk about stuff like that as well. So now I want to pull up TradingView and kind of piggyback on the last discussion that we had. So what did we talk about in the past? Well, we showed that in the last market cycle, remember, Bitcoin got above the 20-week in October of 2015, and it didn't really confirm it until the first quarter of 2016. So it took 119 days, okay? And in the first quarter of 2016, when Bitcoin confirmed it, this is when Ethereum really started to break out and start to move, okay? I mean, it might be, you can zoom in and see that exactly when it happened, but more or less, once Bitcoin was kind of coming back down, so if you really look, Bitcoin was coming back down. So the price of Bitcoin was decreasing during that time when Ethereum started to take off, okay? And then it more or less moved sideways for a while and then dipped back into our fair valuation regression band before building up support and moving up again once Bitcoin got to its previous all-time high in the first quarter of 2017, which happened right here. It got to its previous all-time high. If you just draw a line across. Now, so we know that Ethereum didn't move until Bitcoin got to the 20-week or thereabouts. It started going down, and that's when Ethereum moved. If history were to repeat itself, then we would look to see Bitcoin holding the 20-week moving average as support, which right now we're not holding it as support. We're about $1,000 above the 20-week moving average. The 20-week moving average currently is at 82.68 according to the BLX, and we've been above the 20-week moving average for, around 84 days or so, 77 to 84 days, looking at a weekly time frame. So we've been above it for 84 days in the last market cycle before Ethereum made its move. So if we were to say draw it from October of 2015, so if we take a measured move, we'll go to October of 2015 to that breakout. You can see that it was around 91 days before Ethereum broke out. And currently, Bitcoin has been above its 20-week moving average for 84 days. So if you were to see something similar to the last cycle, then that means that Ethereum would break out next week. If it really just rinsed and repeated the same time frame of Bitcoin being above the 20-week. If, on the other hand, it requires Bitcoin holding the 20-week moving average as support, then it could take a bit longer, especially if Bitcoin doesn't come revisit it anytime soon. If Bitcoin stays stagnant, it'll take quite a while for the 20-week to build its way up here, several months. And if Bitcoin goes up, then it could take even longer. But the idea, right, is if Bitcoin is able to kind of just maintain its level between, say, 9 and 10K for a few months, and the 20-week moving average slowly moves back up to where the price is, and then it holds support sometime later this year, then maybe, yet again, Ethereum will have a really good 90-day ROI purchasing it in the fourth quarter of the year, and then looking to, say, take profits in the first or second quarter of 2021. Now, I don't know if this is how it's going to play out, but I'm just kind of giving you my two thoughts. I think we're either going, I mean, there's obviously a chance we're going to see a move soon if Bitcoin just holds its current level, but don't be surprised if it takes a bit longer. And again, it does not mean that Ethereum is not going to be part of the market cycle. It just means that it's going to take longer, and that, remember, it's going to take a lot more volume. And then a lot of these people that have been, speculating on all these altcoins, they're going to get spooked by all the gains, and then they're going to come rushing their money back into some of the larger cap coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then I think then those will really start to drive the full market cycle forward. And then, a lot of these smaller caps will likely take a back seat for a while. So I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Give the video a thumbs up. And then remember, you can check out the Telegram channel and the premium list if you want to access more of this content. And remember, just don't get discouraged if it's going to take a while for Ethereum to start moving. As far as I can tell, until Bitcoin breaks $8,200, we're sitting quite well. I think this is the time of our lives to be accumulating Ethereum. And remember, at the end of the day, it's going to take giants to move mountains. See you next time. Bye.